It's because of women in government that we have daycare centers, and women want to get paid to go home to have a baby. If they had a husband, they wouldn't. We wouldn't have to be paying for it. You know what I mean?
No. There's daycares cost $48,000 a year.
That's why you need to stay home with your husband to have a baby.
When times get tough, you need to get down. No need to look backward, put your feet on the ground. Stand up.
Welcome to The Fallen State. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Once again, we're in the radio studio, not on the stage of the TheFallenState.tv due to the Chinese virus. And don't forget, The Fallen State is on Patreon. Click the Patreon link in the description. Point down to support our work. And I absolutely appreciate it. My guest now, today, you've seen her, I'm sure, if you've been alive for 24 hours. Fox News, I see her there a lot. I am happy to have with me Cathy Areu. She's a news analyst and founder, publisher of Catalina Magazine. She's also the host of the Liberal Sherpa Podcast. Cathy, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So I hear that you had the coronavirus for a while.
Yeah, I did. I caught it, but it's no secret. It came out in the papers that the 12th floor of Fox News in New York City had a few people tested positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's no secret.
Right.
It got around, yeah.
What was it like? How did you feel? What did you go through?
It was really lousy, but I didn't know because I looked for those 3 symptoms that the CDC kept telling us to look for.
Right.
I looked for fever, cough, and respiratory problems, and it was the opposite. It was like an allergy and migraines and everything that came out 3 weeks later. Like 3 weeks later, they give us a list of all the symptoms that I had 3 weeks prior. So it would have been good to know 3 weeks before that. But yeah, luckily no one caught it from me. We did social distancing, so my cameraman didn't catch it. And I actually worked on a Friday night with it. I didn't know. I thought I had a migraine. And it was actually, yeah, I had a symptom I didn't even know.
Well, I'm glad you're recovering.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know, it's awful. Yeah.
Here it is.
Butt. Yeah.
So I hear that you are a liberal.
They say, yeah.
And how did that happen to you? How did you become a liberal?
Gosh, I got bumped in the head as a child. Or dropped as a head on the head, and then and that's how it happened.
Really? And so, what is a liberal? What is it exactly?
I don't know. Like, what is a Republican? Like, I ask a lot of Republicans that I know from the Bush days, and they say they're Republicans, but they're not Trump Republicans. And then you ask, what are Democrats? And they're like, well, we're Democrats, but we're not the Obama Democrats.
Right.
Oh, it's like, what is a liberal? So I'm like, almost like John Lennon, let it be, so socially let it be. I may not raise a child to be a baby, gender neutral,
right,
which is what I described on the Tucker Carlson show during the Liberal Sherpa segment. But people want to do it. It's fine with me. I have no problem with the liberal agenda. I don't need to practice it, but I'm fine with it.
Would you try to encourage your children or your kid not to be that way, but to be a girl or a boy, and don't change that?
No, actually, I did a lot of interviews with a lot of therapists, which is funny. It's free therapy when you're a journalist. We get away with interviewing a therapist. When we need therapy, we interview a therapist.
Right.
And I was very curious, how do you raise a Democrat? How do you raise a Republican? Are we supposed to? And they said kids pick up things along the way. So I just raised them the way I was raised. And the schools had a lot of influence. And I was sad to see that the curriculums were really a little bit off. They were teaching my kids the civil rights movement the way I would never teach it. So it was really disappointing to see that they were teaching kids. They thought they were teaching kids to not see colors. And it was the opposite. It was about, they were teaching kids actually to see colors.
That's unfortunate.
And it was really sad to me, yeah, because I interviewed Dorothy Height, who stood on stage with Martin Luther King and with I Have a Dream speech. And I had experience with Dorothy Height, and to see people teaching Martin Luther King without the perspective of a Dorothy Height was beyond me. I thought in 2020, we're so beyond that.
Well, that's why I would never send my kid to a public school. It's too risky. It's such a governmental socialist school. You put your kids' lives at risk when you sacrifice them to the public school. So let me ask, were you raised by both of your parents?
Yeah. Both parents, Cubans. So Cubans are notoriously Republican.
Right.
Because of the Bay of Pigs. So, yeah. And I served as a senior advisor during the Bush administration, during the last year of the Bush administration.
Really?
Yeah, but it wasn't liberal, or it wasn't like that. It had nothing to do if I went out with, gay friends later and we talked about the gay parade and things like that. It wasn't, there was no big problems with the rainbow flag and pride. It wasn't divisive.
Well, I noticed that under Bush, most conservatives were really weak and they didn't stand up for what was right. We have the real conservatives standing now under the Great White Hope. You know who the Great White Hope is, right?
The Great White Hope?
Yes.
What, now who the Great White Hope is now?
The president.
The current president?
Yeah, I call him the Great White Hope.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure because it changes over time. There's always a Great White Hope. So
well, this is the real deal. That's why we have real conservatives standing up now for the country and for what is right.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like his policies.
You don't?
I don't like Trump's policies, but it doesn't mean I'm Democrat or liberal. I just don't particularly like his policies. But I didn't like Obama's policies that last week in office because it hurt the Cubans. So that he hurt Cubans that last week in office. I didn't appreciate that at all from Obama. But I liked what he did for the environment and other things. So
are your parents disappointed in you that you are a liberal?
My parents are disgusted in me. They just, oh my, no. My parents are actually liberals because John F. Kennedy let him into the country.
Oh.
And then he screwed up with the Bay of Pigs, which made all the other Cubans upset with John F. Kennedy. And that's where the Cubans became Republicans or liberals. So a lot of young Cubans don't remember the Bay of Pigs.
Right.
So it's a generational thing, actually. So, but my parents actually were liberals, but I don't know if they necessarily know what it means nowadays.
Are you closer to your father or mother growing up?
My grandmother, from Spain. So it was a tradition, Catholic, Southern Spain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
learned English when I was 6.
Amazing.
And,
so is it fair to say that you're a Christian?
Catholic, raised Catholic.
Right on.
Yeah, Catholic. We didn't say Christian, we said Catholic.
Oh, I see. But
Católica.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
and
that's
so,
where I was raised.
Is it true that you are a feminist?
Well, I was told that the definition of feminist is to believe in women's rights. So I think it would be stupid if I didn't believe in my own rights. So if that's how you define feminism, then yeah, I believe in my rights. I think I should have some rights.
So you are a feminist. How would you? So a feminist is a female who believes in women's rights. That's
the way I was taught. That's the definition I was given.
And masculinity. How do you see men?
Masculinity. Well, it depends on the article you read. So with Tucker Carlson, we had toxic masculinity.
I remember
so
that.
Toxic femininity. Well, that's a negative. If you have toxic motherhood, that's a negative. So if you have toxic masculinity, that's a negative. So anything toxic's a negative.
How is toxic I understand why toxic feminism is a negative, but how is toxic masculinity is a negative? How is that a negative?
Well, it's funny. They used to say Hemingway. Hemingway was a toxic masculine figure because he felt that the man was superior. He actually killed himself. They say he had cancer. He shot himself because as a man, no one was going to take his life but his own. And today he's like a figure of toxic masculinity. The man's way is the way to do it. So
But isn't that the right way?
The man's way?
Yes.
No, I would say the woman's way. I'm a woman. My way's the right way.
But if you notice, as men are becoming like women, they're becoming weak and insecure and all that, like women.
Are they?
If you notice, as they're becoming weaker, the world is going to hell in a handbasket.
I don't think they're becoming weaker at all.
You don't?
I don't think men. You seem very strong to me.
But most men are afraid, especially millennial men. They're afraid to speak up to women. They're afraid to deal with them. They are now voted for them. There are more women in politics than there should be, and the men won't.
There should be.
Right? Don't you think that there? Do you agree with me that there are too many men too many women in politics now?
I think politics should reflect our demographics. So if we're 50-50, we should have 50-50, right? I mean, if we're population-wise 50% men, 50% women, and we have the same coming out of college and we're equally as qualified, then it's 50-50. I'm not saying get someone who's not qualified in office.
Right, but most women are not created to run government. Their job is to run the home under the man, directed by the man. They're the vice president, and the husband is the president. But when you put them out there on their own, they tend to go crazy.
Well, that would be fantastic, because if I didn't have to work anymore and I could just be in the kitchen and barefoot and cooking,
right,
and no responsibility, sign me up. But apparently that's not our society. We have to actually work, raise children, cook, and, we're Ginger Rogers in Fred Astaire. I have to do everything you guys do backwards with heels on. But if you didn't tell me to, I'll just sit down and chillax and watch Netflix and have dinner ready at 5 if you want me to.
So if you could find a husband that can take care of you, you're willing to do that?
Yeah, if he doesn't boss me around, you got to find the perfect guy, and I don't think anyone's perfect. So, unfortunately, I don't think that exists. If that existed, sign me up. But I don't think fairy tales exist.
It's few and far, but there are still real men out there. So just be patient. He's coming.
Okay. All right. Well, call me.
Would you be willing to obey your husband?
Obey?
Yes.
No, but I mean, I'm a Cuban. We don't obey much. I mean, it's if you come from a culture that your government turned on you, you don't come from a mentality of obeying. You come from questioning. Right. So I've been taught to question. So I've never really obeyed. I question, but I do follow the rules.
So if you were blessed to have an alpha male, would you prefer alpha male or beta male? Beta.
But alpha male, beta male, Jesse, you seem like the ultimate man. I want someone I could talk to, someone with a sense of humor, someone who'll watch Netflix with me, someone I can have a good time with. I mean, you and I can go out. I want what we all want. I don't classify. I don't,
Well, I agree with you that
vegetarian against meat. I'll eat steak, and I'll have, if you want a veggie burger, I can do that too.
So I agree with you. Women are looking for alpha males, not beta males. Women hate beta males, right?
Some do. There's studies that show that some women want the men who could go kill the cow and bring home the meat.
That's right.
Studies do show that.
That's what you would like, right?
No, I just want dinner. Just fill me up. I get hungry.
So do you date a lot?
Do I date a lot? No, I'm usually monogamous. So I have monogamous relationships. So I'm usually, just one nice male for a period of time, for a long time. Yeah. So I'm not Taylor Swift. Yeah. I don't write their names and scratch them off trees.
When do you think, do relationships work better when women are willing to be women and men are men, or when there's a fight, women are trying to be like a man and a man have to submit to her? Which way do relationships work better? When the woman is a woman and the man is a man, or when she's trying to be like the man?
I think when we know who we are. I think if you see a lot in the generations today, especially with the pronouns. The problem is if you're telling people to question, they're going to question, and maybe there is no need for a question. Maybe you already know who you are. So if I know what I'm like and what I like, and you know what you like, that's the best relationship. But when you've got a person questioning whether they like a man or whether they like a woman, sometimes there is no questioning. You are who you are. You don't have to question. But yeah, I see what you're saying, that with these pronouns, people sometimes feel that they have to question.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's no question. Sometimes maybe you just know who you are. And I never questioned. I know who I am. So it didn't apply to me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You don't sound like a liberal today. You sound more conservative.
No, no, that's just the way it is. If people are questioning, I'm not going to say they shouldn't. They find a need to question. I have no problem with that. I don't question. I've done traditional roles, but that doesn't mean I don't see why others would question, but I don't need to.
Right.
And I don't think anyone should be told to question. If you know who you are who you are. And sometimes confidence goes a long way.
It does. It really does. Do you what is a man? Besides the physical part, what is a man?
Besides you? Well, Jesse, you didn't tell me you were going to ask me these kind of questions. I mean, I'm no psychologist.
But in your life, in your own personal opinion, what is a man?
Well, my grandmother had very strict definitions of what a man was. So she was very traditional from Spain, and I was very Catholic, Católica. Her definition of what was a man. And she got it wrong a few times when I brought the boyfriends home. That's a man. And they weren't necessarily. That was a wimp. That was a jerk. So what's a man or what's a jerk? So I look at personalities. I don't necessarily look at gender, but I date men. But you can tell me what's a jerk. I can tell you what that is. What's a man? I'm still wondering. I'm still wondering.
You're still wondering what is a man?
Well, yeah, my grandmother's definition of man is someone who can protect a woman.
Right.
But, I don't need someone to tell someone they're a jerk if they cut me off. I don't need, if I'm jogging and someone smokes in my face, I could say, hey, I don't appreciate it. I don't need a man in that scenario. And I think in her world, she did. In my world, that's not my definition of a man.
Would you want a man that you can look up to?
Look up to? No, that would be my daddy.
Right.
Yeah, I would look up to my daddy, but he died 15 years ago. So right now, a man, I love my daddy. He died, though. But a man is someone I can talk to, but I don't necessarily need to look up to, but I like to respect. But I want respect as well. And if a man can't respect me, that's no man.
But if you have a man that you can look up to, he would naturally respect you as a woman. Because
I hope so.
Because
he respect me in general.
He understands that order of God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. And so if you're looking up to him, you respect that order. Do you respect that order of God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children?
Well, I don't know if that order always applies. I mean, if I was on a ship drowning, I would want the children saved first, not me.
But do you respect that natural order?
No, I see men and women equal.
But then how can they be equal?
Why not? Mutual respect.
But they're not equal though, right? Because the woman came from the man and the man came from God.
Well, I can't open a jar of tomato sauce, maybe like you can, and pasta, so I may need you to open my jars. So strength-wise, yeah, I do. I am limited, and I give that up to you. But I may be able to beat in a few things that, I might be superior in a few ways.
But it's a little more than just that. If you notice that order of God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children, women don't have love. They receive the love from the man. He received it from Christ. The woman received it from her husband, and it's passed down to the children. And if it's not that order, the kids only get the anger from the mother, especially when they're not close to their fathers. Have you noticed that? And that destroys the children.
I don't know. I wasn't but that's not the way my culture. Maybe it's a cultural thing. But the Catholic, the Católica way that I was brought up by my grandmother, it wasn't. We didn't see it that way. She was equal to my grandfather, and we're talking the Roaring 20s. She enjoyed the Roaring 20s and 30s in Cuba after she moved from Spain. So they were equal. They saw each other as equals. And that's what I saw, the beauty of mutual love. So if she had a headache, he would bring her water.
So you were not raised by your father and mother?
I was, but my grandmother actually she actually raised me. My grandmother actually raised me within the house.
And
that
so
was our tradition.
With your father and mother, did you see that order where the father is over the wife?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you like that order? Appreciate it?
My mother was the breadwinner. She always made more money.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that.
But she made more money just because she had a PhD. My father did not. She made more money than he did. So, it didn't necessarily work that way in our house. And
well, that's because they lived in Cuba? It's because they lived there?
Well, they immigrated. They're immigrants. So the University of Havana shut down because of communism, because of Fidel Castro.
Right.
When they came here, she had her degree. He had not finished. He was a year short. And that was it.
I bet that was disappointing for him, for his wife to make more money than him, huh?
Yeah, well, in that time, he was his upbringing, he was, for him, that was an insecurity for him as a man, because he didn't feel equal. I don't know if superior, he didn't even feel equal.
I'm sorry to hear that, Cathy. That's horrible.
Well, for him it was, but that was his own. That's Hemingway. That's man versus self.
Yeah, that's why.
Versus man.
That's why I always encourage men never marry an educated woman, because an educated woman would never make for a good wife and mother. She feels like she's equal to the man.
You don't think anyone should marry me? I mean, I'm quite the catch. I'm an educated woman. But
if you're willing to obey your husband, it'll work out. Are you willing to do that?
If the man obeys me as well.
But he can't obey the woman. Every time the man listens to the woman, he suffers.
Oh, Jesse, I don't know. I don't think he suffers. I mean, all my men seem quite happy.
That's amazing.
That people aren't happy around me.
But if you were dating a man, you talk about your workers, they have to listen. But if you dated a man, he should not listen to you. I mean, he should listen, but not take your advice, right?
Oh, really? You think I have bad advice?
Well, women don't have sound advice because they don't have logic. They tend to operate from emotions.
You're funny. We have logic and emotions. We're Fred Astaire. We're Ginger Rogers. We could do what you could do, backwards with heels on. I mean, I read Steinbeck, Hemingway. I know the mind of a man, but I run my own business. I have a master's. I've worked overseas. I've been a professor, but I've dated a calculus professor. But I'm an English professor. I don't know calculus. The calculus professor doesn't know English, and we have a wonderful time at dinner discussing Emily Dickinson and infinities, and that's a good time.
You believe that women are logical?
Don't you find me to be quite logical?
Well, you seem more logical today than you did on Tucker's show.
I'm always logical on Tucker's show.
So let me ask, do you know any logical women?
Do I know logical women? Yeah, I do know quite a few logical women, but I know men that aren't logical.
Can you name one logical woman other than you?
I just interviewed Dr. Robbie Ludwig. She's a therapist, and she writes for Fox News, and she gave great logical advice
Really?
on how to keep sane during this quarantine life. And I just talked to her an hour ago.
But they may be able to read a book and tell you about the quarantine life, but when it comes to logic, I'm not talking about knowledge, but logic. Women don't tend women tend not to have logic.
Well, Jerry Laybourne, she ran Oxygen Network with Oprah Winfrey. She was very logical. Dorothy Height, who stood next to Martin Luther King, very logical.
Would you consider Oprah? You told Harpo to beat me.
I didn't interview Oprah. I don't know Oprah, but I know her partner.
Oh,
I never spoke with Oprah. I know Dorothy Height. She wore the hat next to Martin Luther King on stage.
Right.
But she was very logical during that speech. She was very logical.
That's amazing.
What?
What? I have never met a logical woman.
Oh, well, until this moment.
Right, until this moment.
Yes. Okay.
So I gotta ask you this. Should men be punished for sexist speech?
For sexist speech. There was something that came up with Tucker that they were trying to curtail that. But I think things go to extremes. And I find that the problem is when I started with Fox 10 years ago, a man could put on a microphone on my shirt, no problem. Today, when the same cameraman, the same person puts that mic on my shirt, he says, "May I touch your shirt?"
Yeah.
I said, "Oh my gosh, that's just sad because we've gone from this way to that way."
Yeah.
And I just want us to be in the middle. But sometimes it takes pointing out the sexist speech and not pointing it out just to get us in a normal middle. And it's sad because it's gone from extreme to extreme. We need a middle.
So
but I don't know if that's logical.
If a man is walking in let's say a cafe or a market, and he sees a beautiful woman, is it sexist to say, "Wow, you're a beautiful woman"?
No, it doesn't bother me. Things don't offend me, but I can argue where if it does offend someone, then it offends someone. What can you do? It offends someone.
But it's just not logical that a woman would be offended by that, right?
Maybe. I mean, if a woman's out and she just wants to go for a run and someone say you're beautiful and whistling and she's not in the mood, she doesn't want to be objectified that day.
Objectified?
Yeah, objectified. That's a word. It exists and people feel objectified. So she would feel objectified. I whistle back and tell the man he's attractive if he is.
There you go.
Yeah, but that's, it's everyone's prerogative.
But see, these women need women like you to start teaching them how to be a woman. They've lost their way.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that's what we're here for today, and that's why I do Tucker's show. I try to explain these things.
You are really funny, too, on Tucker's show. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I understand where people are coming from, and even if it's not my background, I do understand,
Right.
I get it. I get it.
Is it possible for a female boss to discriminate against a male?
I guess the same way a male would discriminate against a woman. I guess everyone could discriminate against anyone else. I mean, I've seen children discriminate against others. A second grader discriminates against a first grader.
So,
People are, people. So
you're saying, yes, it is possible for a woman boss to discriminate against a male simply because he is a man.
No, no, I'm just saying maybe because she doesn't like the way he eats his lunch. I don't know. I mean, but it's possible for anyone to discriminate against anyone else. And it's never okay to discriminate. That's why, women Latinas actually, my demographic gets paid less than every other female group in the United States. And studies show it doesn't matter if we have PhDs, we will always get paid less than other groups.
And why is that? Why is that?
There actually is it's just discrimination. The mere fact of ethnicity and background. There is actually no other reason. They have found same work, same background, same degrees, same number of hours. No children involved. Prior to having children, Latinas will be discriminated against. So it's it could be the media. Hollywood does a lot with showing Hispanic women in a certain light, which is why I love Fox. Fox doesn't have me in the background cleaning up Tucker's background. It has me next to Tucker. And I think Fox is amazing for having a Latina sitting next to Tucker Carlson. That changes the discrimination. That lets people see the woman who speaks Spanish in a different way.
Yeah.
And I'm appreciative of that. I'm very appreciative.
How about I know a lot of men who have been sexually harassed by women at the workplace. Should those men start having those women arrested?
Not arrested, but they have brought suits against them. Men have stood up, and even in Europe, a lot of men have walked out. They've asked for father rights, parental rights, the same as women. They want to be equal as women. If the women are going to have the Me Too, the men want the Me Too as well. So yeah, if it's good for women, it's got to be good for the man too.
But I know that if men were to overcome the fallen state, do you believe human beings are in a fallen state?
Oh, your fallen state? Do I believe they're in a fallen state?
Human beings.
It depends on your definition. I know the show's fallen state,
right?
But it really depends. I have to read further. I read more into you than I did in the definition of fallen state.
Fallen state is when human beings fall away from God and Satan become their daddy. And in that fallen state, they don't see things as clearly, and they have fear, they have doubt, they have worries, they have insecurity. Men are thinking and acting like women in that fallen state because it's unnatural for a woman to be in that fallen state, but it's abnormal for a man to be in that fallen state. Do you believe that human beings are in a fallen state until they overcome it?
No, I think some people are always in a fallen state, and some people are not in a fallen state. I think I don't think we're all the same. Some people will be in a fallen state. Some people won't be in a fallen state. It depends on the person, depends on the time in their life. We're different when we were 10, 20, 30, 40. We're different in every stage in our lives.
Well, what I've been encouraging men to do is to overcome that fault. Men and women. I work with mostly men, but I help women as well around the world. And so what I'm asking men to do is to go and forgive their mothers and return to the fathers, because mothers hate men. And what
mothers hate men.
Yeah, they hate the children's father. And because they hate their father, their mother turned them away from their fathers. And so she played victim. And so she turned the kids away toward her. And the kids start to resent the mother for that. And you become like what you resent. So you end up taking on the mother's identity. So that's why the men and women have to overcome the mother by forgiving her for turning them away from the father and return to the fathers. And then the order will come back. You agree?
No, I think we have to disagree on that one. I don't think in every case that's necessarily true.
I have not seen one case where mothers have not turned their children away from their fathers. Even when, let's say there's a breakup or the divorce, the mother would say, your father was an alcoholic or your father was a drug addict. That's why he's not here. She never tells the children, your father could not handle me because he married his mother. I was acting like his mother. So he left me. He did not leave you. She doesn't tell the children that.
I've seen the same. I mean, I know a lot of social workers where they can say the same thing about the women, that the women become the crack addicts. I was a school teacher and a high school teacher, and the mother actually, the mother was the one that had the problem, and the father was the one who was trying to get the kids back. And I had to reunite the kids with their daddy. They loved their daddy. She didn't turn them against daddy. She just had her own issues. So,
but
I've seen it both ways.
But majority of the time, you always have exceptions to the rule, of course. But the majority of the time, it's the mother who turned the children away from their father. Am I right?
Not in my house. I mean, the way I've seen it, I think with Freud is that, if you look back at Freud, the women, the girls love their daddies, and the boys love their mommies. That goes back to traditional, psychology.
But that's not normal, though.
It's well, it was for Freud. I mean, it was for Oedipus Rex. I mean, it goes back to different philosophies.
Where is Freud now?
Huh?
Where is Freud now?
He's no longer with us.
I rest my case.
Yeah, it's not his fault. There's a lot of great people not with us anymore.
What do you think about the war on men? Men are the most hated species on this side of heaven, especially straight, white, conservative Christian men of power. They want to destroy them. What do you think about the war on boys and men today? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think they're winning because the people running for president are still white men. So they're still winning that war.
And in what way are they winning?
They're the only ones running to run our country. So they won. The men are still running to run our country. We have men.
Well, I agree with you. I do thank God that President Trump is in the White House now, that he's running the country, putting the country first. He deals with you. He doesn't care if you're male or female, white or black, wherever you come from. He's honest. He deals with it. And so because of him, I am starting to see a lot of men turn back to their natural state. But the war is still there. Look at Joe Biden and all those guys. They're not worth a dime. They're worse than women. They're so weak.
Oh, well, I mean, are they men or are they women?
They're beta male.
They're men by definition. So
I know, but they're beta males. They're weak. They're afraid of women.
Oh, they're beta. Well, I don't know their houses. Maybe they're alpha at home. Maybe Joe's slapping around the missus to get dinner made. I don't know. But the men, we haven't had a female president, so I don't think the war is winning. The women haven't won this war yet, so we're still not running the United States.
Do you thank God that we have not had a woman to run our country? Can you imagine that?
Well, I don't think a woman could be worse than Nixon. I don't think a woman could have been worse than a lot of presidents I've seen.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's because of women in government that we have daycare centers, and women want to get paid to go home to have a baby, and women want, all the stuff that if they had a husband, they wouldn't, we wouldn't have to be paying for it. You know what I mean?
No, there's daycares cost $48,000 a year.
That's why you need. Work. That's why you need to stay home with your husband to have a baby.
No, that's why women have to go out and work. If you have a baby, you have to pay $48,000 a year for that baby to go to daycare. So you have to work. But no, this isn't the 50s or the 40s.
But we need to bring the 50s and 40s back so that we can bring America back to its natural order.
Well, the Norwegian countries, they wrote the Dollhouse, and it was about women going into the workplace back in the late 1800s, and it was a great equalizer. And it's like the only place in the world right now, the Scandinavian countries, where women and men are paid equally, and they're pretty satisfied and they're pretty happy. So it doesn't seem like such a bad model to me. And they started back in the late 1800s.
Well, the women are paid equally here as well. Some are paid more than men because they're catering to the women.
No, still women don't get paid as much as men.
Well, you said the Hispanic women don't. I don't know about that, but I know that blacks and the white women are getting paid equal as a man, but in some cases more than men.
It depends on the profession. Modeling is the only profession in which women get paid more than men. That's the only profession where women get paid more than men. Actually, Asian American women get paid more than African American or white women, and Latinas are the lowest paid. But if you're in the modeling industry, because it is objectifying women, you get paid more than men. So it does pay to be 6'5" and super thin and a model.
It pays off, huh?
Yeah, it does pay off to be a superior looking woman.
Amazing.
Yeah, right?
Are you disappointed at the suicide rate for men today?
I'm disappointed at the suicide rate in general. I think we have about 100 a day, maybe. It's sad. It's sad that in 2020 anyone would want to do that.
According to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, in 2017, men died by suicide 3.5 times more than women. Nearly 70% of suicide deaths in 2017 were white males. The rate of suicide is highest in middle-aged white men and also more likely to be homeless. The men are also, isn't that like a sad thing?
No, maybe it's the pressure that's put on them. Maybe it's the Hemingway mentality of the manliness. Maybe the expectations cannot be met. Maybe realistically, they need to talk with their women, not to them. Maybe it's the pressure you're putting on them, Jesse. I don't know, but maybe the model's not working.
They need
Maybe
to
if the model
overcome that.
changed.
They need to overcome mama and return to the father.
I don't know. They need to do something to change that, though. It seems like it's not working, whatever's happening.
You have kids, right?
Yes, I have two.
And so, do your husband allow you to stay home if you wanted to?
Well, it's not allow. It's not a permission thing. It's not permission.
But let's say let's do this. Let's say your husband said, you know what, Cathy? You got to stay home and watch over these kids now. They need you here. I'm going to provide for the family. I'll take care of the family. Would you do it?
Yeah, but I've always been. I mean, I've had Catalina Magazine for 18 years, so I would never walk away from a magazine that helps a certain demographic. It's not just a magazine. It's my life. It's my passion. So I don't think you would walk away from your show if I asked you to do that. If you have a message to tell and it means something to you and you're passionate, I don't think anyone should ask anyone to give up their passion. So I don't think it has to do with gender roles. It's our passion. And like the Rolling Stones said, if you lose your dream, you'll lose your mind. So to ask another person to lose their dreams, I don't think you want to live with someone that has lost their mind.
Which is right for you as a wife and a mother to stay home and raise your children or to run Catalina Magazine? Which would mean more to you?
I do both.
I know, but if you had to make a choice, your husband said you got to stay home because it's the right thing. What would be more important to you if you had to choose one?
Well, no, I've set up my life that I've done both, but I would die for my children. I would do anything for my children.
Does that mean giving up Catalina Magazine?
It means I would die. I would jump in front of a truck. I would jump in front of a bullet for my children. But if I could give them a better world with Catalina Magazine, which promotes Latinas, so when they're older, they can have a choice of doing what they want to do, then why would I give up something that would enrich their lives? I would never want to take away their dreams and have them lose their minds.
But as their mother, would you give up Catalina Magazine if you had to do it for them?
Why? But why would I have to do it? Would he hurt me? Would he beat me? Would he kill the children? Would he kill me?
No, but I'm just asking you, if you had to give it up for your children, had to stay home and raise your children and be there for them, would you give up Catalina Magazine and be a wife and a mother at home?
Well, I would do anything for my children, but if it was just to be a wife and a mother, I don't think that would make anyone happy.
Would you stay home? Would you stay home and be a mother to your children?
I'm able to.
And give up Catalina Magazine.
I can do both.
No, so
I'm sorry, Jesse. That's the way I plan my life. If I couldn't do both, I wouldn't have children. I wouldn't have them if I could not give them 1,000,000%. I want to be the perfect role model, and I'm with them for every step of the way, but I'm also able to create a dream that will enrich their lives so they don't have to suffer the way maybe my grandmother suffered by not knowing the language in a country.
Are you married? Are you married?
Am I?
Uh-huh.
I'm married? I was.
Oh, you was married. I thought I read or heard something like that, but you're not married now?
No.
You want me to help you find a husband?
No, I'm really good at that.
All right. Cathy, what is love?
Love? Well, the love I have for kids, willing to die for someone. I guess.
What is a man besides the body part? I asked you that a little earlier, but I forgot what you said to me.
Yeah, I forgot what I said too. I don't think of I don't think of genders, but in my mind, when you ask what a man is, I think of my grandmother's definition because she constantly said it, but it doesn't mean that's my definition.
How?
She thought a man was someone who would protect the woman no matter what. But I feel a woman is someone who would protect her loved ones no matter what. So I think that's just love. That's just a partnership.
Do you feel bad for men that they are committing suicide at a high rate like that? They're going to prisons for no reason in most cases. The women lie on them. They take their children away from them. They don't let their kids see the kids. They take the money. Do you feel bad for men that they're living in such a hostile environment now?
See, I don't necessarily agree. I mean, I know many women with no child support. There, a lot of homes are single mothers with no child support whatsoever. So the women I've interviewed are different stories. But it's not a choice. Some people say I've interviewed a police officer's wife who's the husband killed himself, and she said he took the easy way out because I now have to raise children and I'm on welfare and I'm doing the best I can. And she chose to stay home to take care of her children, and he still ended up killing himself. And she can't kill her. She doesn't have the luxury, she said, of killing herself. She's living for her children. So I feel sorry for her, and I feel sorry for him for his decision.
But do you feel sorry for men that they'll have to deal with such a hateful society toward them? They're going through pure hell in the courts and everywhere. And women taking their children, and women lies that men are abusive, and they accuse them of sexual harassment, and they just lie without feeling anything about it because they hate the man. Do you feel sorry for men that they're having to deal with that these days?
I feel sorry for anyone to go to court to have anyone lie about them.
How about men?
How about women?
No, I'm asking you about men. Do you feel sorry for men having to go through that nowadays?
If someone's lying about them, yes. Right. If they are abusers and try to kill their children, no. I mean, no, you don't feel sorry for someone who committed a crime and goes to the court and it's talked about. No, I don't feel sorry against anyone who's guilty. I feel sorry against anyone for anyone who's innocent.
So these women who are lying about men being abusive, sexual harassment,
that's wrong. Lying's always wrong.
Yeah, they are taking the men, children away from them. They're taking their money. Are those women evil?
Anyone who lies and takes another person's money is evil. If a man lies and takes another person's money, he's evil.
So you would agree that those women are evil?
I would agree that women and men who take other people's money and lie are evil.
How about those women that are doing that? It's happening. You said something, I believe, unless I read it wrong. You said that women are more violent than men, and I 100% agree with you on that. I had never heard an honest woman say that before, so thank you for that.
Oh, no, sorry, that wasn't me.
Oh, that wasn't you?
No. Actually, statistics show, I think 15% or 20% of women commit the violent crimes, and about 85% of the violent crimes are committed by men right now. So when you look at the serial killers, it's usually white men who are the serial killers.
No, that's not true. Black men are doing it too, but they just don't report it. You know how men don't.
Not majority. The majority, I think, statistically, still the white men are still beating everyone on that one.
No, they just don't show it on the news. You don't hear the report when the black men do it. You notice, I guarantee you, Cathy, if men reported the violence of the women, the numbers would go through the roof. It's just that men are not reporting how violent the women are that they live with and how mean and nasty they are. If they reported that, it would go through the roof. You agree?
Well, it's sad. Especially times like this, people, the domestic violence, I think, has gone up 50% now in our world that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say domestic violence of men or women, just in general, domestic violence has gone up. People living inside their houses, quarantined together, are really, they're really upset and angry. And that's why I interviewed a therapist today to just try to get everyone to kind of relax so we don't all lose our minds at home in quarantine life. But no,
I agree with you that men may go out and shoot up a school or shoot up a business or something, but the real violence is in the home. The women are attacking the men. They're turning the children away from the fathers. They're impatient with the kids. They're cursing out the men. They are difficult. They are difficult they're difficult to deal with nowadays for men. And they lie when they get angry at the man. They threaten, I'm going to call the cops and tell the cop you hit me. And so men are not reporting, but men may go out and shoot up somewhere easier than a woman would, but inside the home, they destroy the souls of the children by pretending that they're a victim and turning the kids away. They dominate the children's life. They spoil them. So you do agree to that in the home, the woman is more violent than the men, right? Than the man.
Oh, well, I didn't witness it in my home, and I actually only saw it once. I saw it actually on MTV Teen Mom, where one of the moms, Amber, I don't know what her last name is, but they caught it on tape. She actually beat up her husband on the show. So that's the only time I've seen that scenario has actually been on that show, and they did show it, and they didn't edit it, and she went to jail.
Yeah.
So it wasn't hidden. So I've seen that, but usually, no, I don't. I've interviewed a lot of people, and I have not seen it the other way around, but I did see it on that show.
That show was a perfect example because it's typical. It's just that the men are not reporting it, and they need to start reporting it.
I didn't see it in my home, but I did see it on that show.
Yeah, it's out of control in the black community, Cathy. It's harder for a black man to walk up a hill than it is to deal with the woman.
I don't know. I know the Latina and Latino community really well, but
it's easier for a man to walk up a mountain than it is to deal with a black woman. And on my show, I get calls all the time and in counseling from Latino men, and they're telling me that the Latino mother is worse than the black mother.
I don't know. I only know the Latinas and the Latinos, and I can only say the ones I've met and I've interviewed. So I can't speak to that and things I read, but I don't necessarily believe everything I read. And I am a print journalist, and I don't believe everything I read.
Was it hard for your husband to deal with you?
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
Well, we tried to kill the children, so that was fun, but no.
Your husband tried to kill the children?
Yeah, but that's for another time.
Were you trying to take them away from him?
Absolutely not. No.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to you about that again.
I was sleeping.
Wow. I got to how did that work out? Why would he try that?
I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know the psychology of what happened. I really don't understand the psychology of it. I was actually sleeping.
Wow. So, but he wasn't able to hurt them at all, right?
I had locked the doors. So I locked doors at night. So everyone made it safe. Everyone was safe. But,
wow.
No, I'm fine, though. I don't have any trust problems, and I love my daddy, so.
So is he locked away right now?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
You know what I noticed, as a liberal woman, you are willing to talk and have a conversation with conservatives. Why are most liberals afraid to have a conversation with conservatives?
I don't know. I mean, some people are afraid to talk in general. I guess if you don't believe or have a passion or conviction, then maybe you're just afraid to talk about it. But I'm confident in what I believe in, and I've done a lot of reading, and I've spent a lot of years interviewing different people.
Yeah.
And I've been humbled over the years. I know what I don't know, and I know what I know. And I'm not afraid to say I don't know something. not afraid to say when I do know something.
Yeah, well, I noticed that most liberals are afraid to talk to conservatives. They don't want to hear a different of opinion. They can't. They are so emotional, mentally and physically emotional. They can't handle the truth, so they are unwilling to have a conversation where you don't agree all the time.
Well, I think it's best if I don't know what's going on with other people, then how am I going to understand everyone around me?
That's right.
We all have to talk to each other. I actually didn't know your point of view, but it's fascinating.
It's amazing, huh?
I'm happy to hear it. We may not be on the same page, but I'm not one to tell you I'm not going to change your mind, and you're probably not going to change mine, but why would we want to?
That's
if we
right.
make the world more interesting, I think.
Right. So, Cathy, we're running out of time. I got to heat this interview up and put you on the hot seat.
Oh, okay.
So I need you to answer these questions as quickly as possible.
That wasn't the hot seat. Okay, good to know. Good to know.
The hot seat.
In your opinion, who is the sexiest man alive?
Sexiest man alive? Oh, fictional character Flynn Rider from Rapunzel.
Is it wrong to say mailman because it has the word man in it?
Unless it's if it's a woman, yeah, you should say mail carrier. Yes.
Should the law require us to use gender-neutral pronouns?
No.
Is Islam a religion of peace?
It's a religion. I don't know. I don't know about the religion very well. Only what I've studied.
Should men submit to their wives?
So submit credit cards? Yeah. Yeah.
If heaven exists, would you go there when you die?
Would I go? Yeah.
Which rights are American women missing?
The right to beat Trump in the next election.
That ain't gonna never happen.
Well, yeah, no one's running. We don't have a woman running.
You notice that week Joe Biden tried to get a woman. He tried to suck up to the women in order to get their votes. So he tried to act like it's so important he got a woman to run with him. You notice that?
I'd vote for a bottle of water against Donald Trump, but you and I don't agree on that. So keep going.
How much should black people get in reparations?
I can't do the math. I was an English major.
Is Joe Biden mentally fit to run for president?
I'm hoping to see if he has a good VP.
Should white people make more babies, white babies?
No.
Do you love white people?
Yeah, sure.
Did you have fun?
Yes. A blast.
Cathy, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Tell the folks how to get Catalina Magazine, how to listen to your show and all that good stuff.
Oh, you're too sweet. Are you asking me out?
Yes. Am I a sexist for that?
Yeah, I take no offense.
Right.
Am I sexist for saying that?
Right on.
So pressreader.com. Pressreader.com, they can get a digital subscription or print to Catalina Magazine. And we're worldwide, and we reach 400 million readers.
Amazing. How often do you do your show? You have a podcast, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be once a week, but this week by accident, I did 2.
Oh, good. Well, keep doing it. I really enjoyed talking to you, Cathy. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks. Can I ask you on a date to come on my show?
Absolutely. I would love to.
Okay. So I hope I wasn't sexist.
No, you were amazing.
Cool.
Take care, all right? And be safe out there. Okay.
All right.
Let me know when you want me on. I'll be happy to come on.
I'm gonna write to you right now.
Okay. Absolutely. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, and Sonny, and ring the bell. And on Patreon, let me tell you real fast, The Fallen State is on Patreon. Click the Patreon link in the description. Point down to support our work. We have all kind of merch and all that kind of stuff, all right? Let me hear from you. Take care, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Next time on The Fallen State.
What is it like to be known by 1 billion people around the world?
Well, first of all, if I had fingers, I'd pinch myself just because every time I look at my beautiful wife and my 4 beautiful children, I feel like I'm living my dream. Many people look at me, Jesse, and say, wow, it must be so difficult to have no arms and no legs.
So when your parents saw you, when you came out, did they want to throw the baby back?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's throw this baby back.
Yeah, he needs some more cooking.
What does a panic attack feel like?
Feels like you're dying. I had it actually for 30 days straight. Panic is something that debilitates us.
And so are you the head of your wife?
Where are you getting at? Tell me, what do you want? Are you trying to twist my arm? This has been the best, funniest interview I've ever had in my life.
Thanks for watching The Fallen State. We need your continued support. Donate to my nonprofit here. Subscribe and like the videos here. And tell everybody and their mama about the show.